I noticed with my oldest son that there were milestones he was not achieving. And at that time, once they told me the diagnosis, I told him that he can do all things. But I had to say within myself, what can I do better as a parent to help him achieve these goals?
Hello and welcome back to another edition of Love Speaks. I am your host, Lakeisha, with my fabulous co-host.
My name is Francois. Thank you for joining Love Speaks. We're so excited to be here on today. Love Speaks what love is, whether it is culturally, whether it is currently, or whether it is in community. Love speaks its heart and its passion.
Yes, thank you so much again for joining us. And we are so excited because Love Speaks is what it does. And so we highlight various individuals who are passionate about their craft, whether it is education, whether it's business, whether it is whatever they're doing that they are passionate about making an impact in our society. And so today I'm excited because we're sitting down with a phenomenal woman. Not only do I know her personally, but also through ministry and just also through her many endeavors. And so we want to highlight her today and her gift, and I believe her God-given calling. Dr. Sheneka Brown with the Promise Academy.
We want to discuss the topic of literacy. I've never really been a strong reader, and honestly, I learned how to read in the church. Growing up in a smaller church, it was what's required for us to stand up with our Bible and read the Bible scriptures. And the more we had to do that, the more we had to rehearse that, the more we had to practice that, is honestly where I became a stronger reader. It was through that. And that's why even I tell our sons, now it is so important to read. I said, if you don't know how to read, it's going to be difficult for you to do almost anything. You can't do your math if you don't know how to read. You can't do your science if you don't know how to read. You can't study your music if you do not know how to read. So to me, reading really is foundational.
Reading is fundamental. And
Absolutely
it is
fundamental.
necessary. In order to be leaders, we must be readers.
Leaders are readers.
And I don't believe that's just a cliche that we say, but I believe without a shadow of a doubt. I heard something, I was watching a podcast just the other day, and a guy pretty much made reference to something that we know we've all heard, that if you want to hide information, put it in a book.
Absolutely.
If you want to hide truth, put it in a book.
Absolutely.
Because most people will not read because of various reasons. It could be due to, some kind of laziness. Most of us don't read because not that we can't, but a lot of people are lazy and find themselves falling asleep when they read, or just not finding that as something that they find, comfort in. Some people pick up a book and hold the book all day and they read. I see one young lady was just so amazing because she was driving, reading. I've seen people multitasking while they're driving, but never with a book in their hand. And I looked over and I said, that has to be a very interesting book. And so I totally agree that we must read and put the value in reading again. And not only for children, but also for adults, that we have to find reading attractive again. I believe that without a shadow of a doubt, because we only grow by the knowledge we know.
Oh, that's good. That can be tweeted.
So we have a phenomenal woman who is an author. She's an educator. She is Dr. Sheneka Brown, the founder of the Promise Academy. Welcome, Dr. Brown. It's so good to have you here today with us.
It is such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you
Let's
so
get
much
started.
for being with us. Can you first just take us through your educational journey?
So initially, I started college when I graduated, got married, and I had my children. And I noticed that both of them had a learning disability. And so because of the learning disability, I decided to go back to college to see how I can assist them better. And that's how my college journey began with my 2 children.
Wow. So that's very passionate.
Yeah.
We notice that within true parents, and we're going to stick to our topic of literacy, but I just also love the discussion of parenting, that true parenting really creates passions within us, our children do,
Absolutely.
that we would have ignored a long time ago. So it's because of your children, because I was a college dropout as well, and finally finishing up my bachelor's degree and then going to continue with my master's. So that began your pursuit to assist your children.
That's great to hear because I too, as you said, went to college, dropped out, and went back. And I always encourage anyone who's on that path or on that journey of higher academics, rather it is a trade, if it's a, collegiate experience, even if you stop, it's never too late to start again.
Absolutely.
Because I stopped, and I often laugh with people and I tell them, and I'm not ashamed of my story, because it took me literally 7 years to get my AA degree, which is a 2-year degree. Because I stopped, I started, but I finished.
Amen.
And then when I finished that, I went full throttle. And then I went and got my bachelor's, and now I'm finishing one course away from my master's. My words of wisdom to anyone that's on that journey, it's never too late. Go back, get it done. And so we just want to talk with you concerning your vision, and thank you for sharing your educational journey. But what started your story? What inspired you to create the Promise Academy?
I noticed with my oldest son that there were milestones he was not achieving. And at that time, once they told me the diagnosis, I told him that he can do all things. But I had to say within myself, what can I do better as a parent to help him achieve these goals that were listed on his IEP? And so initially, when I was in college, I was a criminal justice major. So I decided to change go back to school first, change my major to elementary ed so I can better assist him. And that's how my college journey started. And I decided to do elementary ed and go back so I can assist him. And I started tutoring him. And I started seeing the leaps and the bounds that he was making. And I just said, you know what? If I can do this with my own, why can't I help other children? And then when I initially got into the school system and I saw, the gaps and the holes, that were in a one-size-fit-all system, I said, what can I do personally to help assist other children?
So you've created this awesome, powerful system called Promise Academy Reading Intervention System. Can you break down what makes your approach different from traditional tutoring or school-based interventions?
So one of the things that we do when your child first enters the Promise Academy, we create a individualized, personalized, tailored program for your child. So we look at their data, whether you bringing in the parent, brings in that data either from the school, or they can take one of our diagnostic assessments, and we hone in on their weaknesses first, and then we create a program that also builds on their strengths. We don't leave the strengths out, right? Because at that time, you could have a child that's high, but then if you don't really tailor to that strength, you will find that child dropping. So the first thing we do is work on the weaknesses, and we build upon their strengths through that program. And then what we do, we identify any educational gaps that may hinder that child.
That is phenomenal to me, because there's a few things I like about that. A few things I like. First thing is, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So you don't waste time giving them something that they don't necessarily need.
Correct.
I love it because you tailor make it for each student.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that, and I'm kind of big on that as well, strength and weaknesses. You don't overly emphasize on their weaknesses that you leave their strengths lagging.
Correct.
And I think that is so important, especially in the arena of confidence, because sometimes confidence is easy to lose and hard to build. And when you're working them in their reading capability, to say, hey, you're doing this extremely well. So now let's also work on this, but we're not leaving out your strengths, because we want you to leave here feel like a superhero. I love it. I love it.
And so, as a certified educator with years of experience, what gaps in the education system did you notice? I know you mentioned just a few of them that, one size fits all, that you noticed that motivated you to build something more personalized for struggling readers.
So one of the things I noticed in the school system initially was the one size fit all program that they have. And so I decided to create a one-on-one tutoring program. Now we do offer group sessions, but we primarily focus on one-on-one sessions so that child could get an individualized attention from a certified teacher. And that's the one thing that makes the Promise Academy different.
Awesome.
That's so good to hear, because just talking about today, because we know in the educational system there's these levels for reading and also for math, and these children have to take these tests every year, twice a year if I'm not mistaken, which also kind of rates them on their academic level if they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just depends on which test they are taking. So tell us about your SMART method. How does it help students who are struggling in reading and test preparation?
So one of the methods that we use in order to prepare our student is called the SMART method. So the SMART method is an acronym for S means to study. Study is my part. That's where I study the data to identify any educational or academic gap with the student. So the M means to monitor. So every week my parents are going to get a weekly progress as far as how the students are doing. Are they making mastery on state standards? So the A is alignment. So what I do is create lessons that align to their individual learning goals. The R means read. I have them read fluently. We work on comprehension. We work on building vocabulary. Now, the T is for thrive. It was something that you said earlier about building confidence. So what we do is we celebrate all the small things that they do. So it will allow them to thrive and not feel defeated when it comes to reading. Because the one thing we want to do is build up their confidence, build up their self-esteem. They're already struggling in school, right? And so you're not going to come to the Promise Academy and feel defeated. We want you to thrive, whether it's small, whether it's big. We want to celebrate those small wins.
That is phenomenal. I love it. I love that they can know what to expect. They can know what to expect. And the way you have that SMART program, it makes it easier for them to remember. They know they're going to be monitored. They know they have to be in alignment. And I love that. So you work not only with students, but this is good. You work with parents as well. How important is it that parent partnership in your intervention process? And what role do they play in their child's success?
So honestly, you can't do anything without a parent. I believe in parent partnerships, right? Because oftentimes in school, we just focus on the child, and we have to focus on education holistically. You have to involve the parent. Without the parent involvement, the child would not thrive, honestly. And so one of the things we do, we build parent partnerships. So one part of my contract is you have to be consistent. You have to provide the effort and the motivation and be a part of the program. And so one of the things I tell my parents is we have to have a conversation after the tutoring session so you know where the child is, so that you know, are they mastering the skills, are they making progress, or are they regressing? And the part that you can do also at home to assist me, a part of the program, right? Because it's a joint effort when it comes to building reading, to building fluency, to building a child's academics. It's a partnership, right? And I believe this is that learning begins at home. And so without that partnership, it's not going to work. And so my parents have to sign a contract saying that you're committed in this, just like I'm committed to this. And that's one of the reasons what makes the Promise Academy work.
And that's phenomenal, because I can hear your passion in it, because it was a step you took as well. It was you being involved as a parent that help your children to excel beyond what the system said.
Absolutely.
So you understand the importance of that parental involvement. And just going back to that, the parents, have you noticed that sometimes when there's a struggle with the children, it's because the parents also struggle in their literacy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because most of the time I'll get parents that say, I don't know how to help them. I'll get parents that say, this ain't what we did in school. And it's true, honestly. The math that they're doing now, we didn't do that in school.
Yes.
I mean, even the standards and how they're worded, we didn't do that when we were in school at all. And so most of my parents do find it to be difficult. And I understand why, because even I have to break down the standard, even for myself, to say, this is what they're trying to convey in this sentence. And I have to be able to break it down for my kids as well on the elementary level so that they can understand. And also I do the same thing with my parents because it's not the same.
Yes.
I am so guilty because when we were homeschooling during COVID, forced to homeschool, because that's something I just, automatically, I am not ashamed to say, I can't do it. I can't homeschool. I can't. And so when we were forced in 2020 to homeschool and the kids were home and they were doing math and they were doing, like, I'm lost. And I'm like, wait a minute, let us ask Google. Let me go ask Siri. Let me ask somebody because I don't know what they're asking you. Maybe, look, go ask your dad because I just don't know.
It is not the same.
It's not the same. And then even now,
the
some
methods,
days,
too, is different.
Exactly.
Yes.
So when he brought home, even in elementary, now I consider myself smarter than a fifth grader. At least I used to consider myself smarter than a fifth grader. But then when he was in fifth grade and started bringing home work, I'm like, say that question for your teacher tomorrow. Go ask her. Because
why weren't you paying attention in class? You should have been paying attention.
So now it's me fussing at him like, you should know this, not me. You go to school. I don't go to school. So now I'm putting the pressure on him because I don't know it. And I'm like, oh my, I thought I was smarter than a fifth grader, but apparently I'm not. Like, I need tutoring. Somebody needs to tutoring me on how to help you because I can't help you.
It's
different.
And it's harder.
Yes.
It's harder.
Yes. So are there any indicators that parents should look for to identify issues with reading? Like, what are those indicators? Like, I know, because even for us, we had that conversation with our youngest son, and I would always say, sit down and read. And I buy books because I'm an advocate. An advocate. Our library is full of books. We have plenty of books in our library. And so I even purchased our son a dictionary, So I tell him, I said, because that's how I came from old school. My dad, we couldn't sit around and just
and
play.
encyclopedias.
We couldn't play. We couldn't play. If he came home and you were playing or you just looked like you were bored, he ordered us a case of encyclopedia and said, go and do a report. You don't have homework? Go do a report on Dr. Martin Luther King. Go do a report on Malcolm. Go get a report. Go find something. Get an encyclopedia. So I was raised that way. So now with our children, okay, you say you don't have homework. I bought him a dictionary. Go find 10 words that you don't know in the dictionary. Write that word, write the meaning, because I want you to be fluent. I want you to know these words. I want you to be able, because this is how you're going. If you don't know the word, you're not going to be able to read.
Exactly.
And so it was a practice but what are some of those indicators that parents can identify, issues if their child is having those issues with reading?
So there are a few that you can identify. So number one is they try to avoid reading at all costs. You will find most kids that will they don't want to read. They avoid a book. They get upset when you tell them to go read. So that's one, they avoid reading. Number two, when they start to read, they're chopping up the words. They have a hard time decoding, segmenting, and blending words. That's another indicator. Also, the comprehension. You may have a kid that can fluently read, but they don't understand what they're reading. Another indicator is their grades in school, right? Poor grades are definitely an indicator. It lets you know that they're struggling in that area of reading, language arts, writing. So, and the last indicator would be how they score on standardized tests, right? The FAST goes from level 1 to 5. Anything a level 1 or 2 lets you know that child is reading below grade level. 3, 4s, and 5s. 3 is they're reading at grade level. 4 and 5, they're reading above grade level. So the FAST is a great indicator, or iReady will let you know if they are able to read. So level 1s and 2s, you definitely want to definitely seek tutoring if they scored that on the FAST
I
assessment.
think with that too, as parents who are, watching this, segment, it is so important that we are proactive because not reactive because they brought home the bad grades or they're not reading. Even like for the summer, I told our son he's in camp. He's in a musical camp. And so I asked him, first thing I asked him in the camp, will there be any academics? Will there be, and they were honest and they told us no. They told me no, that they will not have academics because it is a musical camp and they want to highlight their talents and their gifts and be able to perfect that. And so I allowed him, knowing the kind of parent I am, yes, okay, you won't have academics in there, but when you come home, next week that tablet goes up because you're going to be doing some work. I bought a book for you to do some work because I want you to continue to develop and not lose what you gained from last school year, but now you can be ahead when you go into the next grade level as well. Now, the Promise Academy, it's just not about academics. How does your faith and kingdom assignment influence the Promise Academy?
Ooh, that's a good question. So one of the ways is the fact that I know that teaching is my calling. I think when you know your purpose and you know your calling, it doesn't even feel like work because it's your passion. And it is absolutely my passion. And so I take my faith along with it in the Promise Academy because I want to build my students' self-esteem. I give them words of affirmation, and sometimes I don't use it scripturally, biblically, what I mean? But I use words of affirmation. I tell them you can do all things. I just don't add the through Christ in there because, I respect other religions and cultures and, because I have a diverse group of students at the Promise Academy and everybody believes different things. So I just try to, keep it balanced. But I do tell them you can do all things, and I try to encourage them that way. So I always add my faith into what I'm doing because it's all about balance when it comes to the Promise Academy and my kids. So, but yeah, my faith is the first thing that goes in there because if I don't believe, who will?
Currently, the Promise Academy is in person, currently.
Oh, so no, we are. I just got a second location. So we are currently in Miami Gardens. We now located in True Prep Academy. Now we also in the city, and we are also virtual, so worldwide. So we offer in-person and virtual tutoring.
And I just believe, even if you have, like you said, strong readers, that you should still invest in the strength of those strong readers because they can become even stronger readers. And they can, because I any kid that made a 5, I take my hat off because that's for me. Reading has always been my kind of forte in life. I love it. Even in academics in school, I'm not good with math. Not good with math at all. But if you gave me a book, if you gave me a reading test, I would always ace my reading test because I love reading and I read to comprehend. And so I want to make sure that this information get out here, and as you are continue to expand, I'm so elated, I'm so excited for you, going from North Florida, North Fort Lauderdale down to the local cities here. It's just great. And so I do want to ask just a follow-up question in regards to starting the Promise Academies. What were some of the struggles? Because I believe nothing great comes without struggles. What were some of the struggles that you endured? I know you talked about your personal, testimony as a mother and, the struggles you experienced with your child. But what struggles did you experience starting the Promise Academy, stepping into entrepreneurship?
Where do I start? Honestly, you know what? I think when God gives you a vision and the vision is bigger than your provision, that's where the struggle came. I saw the vision in my head. God had given me the vision. I didn't have the provision to make it happen. So that was the first struggle. And finding a building to host the Promise Academy in was also a struggle. But when I tell you, when you have a vision and you want it to come together, God will place the right people to align to get that vision to come to pass. And then, another struggle was trying to maintain because one thing about tutoring, parents sometimes, they will come when it's testing time. So tutoring is not like a consistent thing as far as like a business aspect of things. And so I decided to close my first building because the overhead and so forth. And I just remember crying about it. I was like, okay, I had to close the building down. And I was like, okay, God, I can't afford the building because tutoring is up and down, up and down. But God, I had to spend a whole year doing a whole reset, rebranding, and remember crying about it. But God will give you something better because now the new building is bigger, cheaper, right? Cheaper. And
Definitely God in this economy.
definitely cheaper. And then all the desks and chairs and everything was already in there. He gave me a collaboration inside True Prep Academy, inside of a school. So I don't have to hunt nobody down because it's already inside of a school. Right. And then I got blessed with the second location in the city. And that's already inside an aftercare program. So the kids and the resources were already set for me. And sometimes what we think that it's supposed to go one way, God will set you in another path and put you in a different way.
I do want to ask just one more question because you are an entrepreneur in the sense of starting this academy. And again, you talked about the struggles with the resources, but how do you balance? How do you balance the business? You are balancing your personal life because you're still a mother, your personal. How do you balance all of this?
You know what I learned? I learned that balance is not equal. Balance is about intention.
That's
I
a
have
shirt.
to write that down. Exactly.
That's a shirt and a hat and a branding and everything. I love that. I love it. Next time I sit at my computer to do my work, I'm going to make sure I mention to myself, it's not equal, girl. Stop trying.
It's
And we
intentional.
do. We try to equal it out. I don't want this to be neglected. But I love that word prioritize and be intentional.
And that's what I had to learn. I had to learn how to be intentional with being a mom, running a business, and my personal life. And I had to learn that it's not equal because honestly, we're doing so much, it'll never be equal because you're going to slack somewhere. Yeah. So now I just learned about being intentional and prioritizing what needs to be done first.
Wow, that was great.
Because you try to make everything equal, you will burn yourself out. And I experienced burnt out.
Yeah.
And no, I've learned to be intentional with it and prioritize.
You are doing a phenomenal job. And so those of you, our viewers who are watching her, Promise Academy is virtual and in person. Get your children, and even you, the literal help that you need so they can be strong readers. Like my wife alluded to earlier, leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. Everybody wants to be big in social media and big in this, but if you cannot read your contract to know what you're signing on for, you need to be in Promise Academy. You need to be in Promise Academy. Dr. Brown, you have been phenomenal. I hope you enjoyed your time here as much as we have enjoyed you.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for stopping by, sharing with us today on Love Speaks. We want you to just take a moment and share your information for our viewers that want to contact you. We're also going to put it in the subscription below, but we want you to also just to share all of the information, how they can contact you, and also, the age limits as well for the age ranges for the tutoring as well.
Absolutely. The Promise Academy is located at 5005 Northwest 173rd Drive. We are in Suite 203 in Miami Gardens, Florida. We are there Tuesday through Saturday from 3:30 to 6:30. If you need Saturday tutoring, we are there Saturdays from 10:30 to 2. But that location is 5120 Northwest 24th Avenue. We are in the city on Saturdays. You can also contact us at 754-444-8872. So if you would like virtual tutoring at the Promise Academy, you will see it on our website at www.thepromiseacademy.com. You're going to click under services and you will see virtual tutoring available.
You've been awesome. Thank you guys for tuning into Love Speaks. Have a great one.